Gonna call the Paintsville Utility Commission regular meeting Monday, December 7th to order with the roll call. Walter Preston.
Here.
Mitch Skinner. Absent. Mike Smith. Absent. Tim Spencer.
Here.
And LB's here. First item on the agenda is the review and approval of the minutes. Regular meeting November 2nd, 2015. Which we don't have a quorum to vote on that one, so but the special meeting of November the 9th, 2015.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Item number 3 is the review and approval of the operating report.
Make a motion, we approve the operating report dated October 31st, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is it missing?
Have it. Is there any discussion on your delinquent amount, the 228?
Maybe a little discussion on that in the audit report on the delinquent accounts.
Yeah.
Did you engage in another collection agency yet?
That's ongoing at this point. We don't have that executed yet.
Okay.
Item number 4 is the presentation of the construction pay request and change orders.
Okay, we do have 3 pay requests. The first one from Bocook Engineering, invoice number 10, on the Kentucky 321 water and sewer line relocation project. And that has been submitted to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for reimbursement.
And the announcement is?
He's wanting you to read the amount so then they can just motion up.
Missed it. Sorry about that. $3,179.
Do we want to do this one for both Bocook and the other for Mid-South Contracting?
Do them separate.
Okay. Make a motion that we approve this payment approval.
And second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
The next, Mid-South Contracting, we have an invoice for $11,225 for the repairs for exposed water line and slip on Highland Avenue. And the next one for Mid-South is for the creek bank erosion and exposed sewer line between 12th Street and Pine Street. Both of those have been completed.
Or is the second one on 12th Street, was it completed to satisfactory?
Highlands is bulging noticeably. The one on
Already?
Highlands is bulging noticeably.
Like it's changed. Or that's just about done.
No, it was vertical.
It'd be nice.
Got a lump, a bump, whatever you want to call it in there.
Just maybe go take a look at it and see what it looks like to you, if it looks different from when they completed the job or something.
Yeah, because I sure don't know what they're supposed to look like when they're done.
No comment.
What'd you say, Tim?
No comment. Was everything we got back approved on the 12th Street one? Or are we still waiting on approval from Division of Water?
We got that.
Got all that?
We got it Friday.
Okay. I'll make a motion to pay the 2 invoices from Mid-South Contracting. The first one's $11,225. The second one was $13,225.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item number 5 is the review of the monthly invoices.
Bob, did you notice anything outstanding on those invoices, or everything looks the same up to par?
except for the ones that were noted, they're routine.
Make a motion to pay the bills this month.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item number 6, departmental reports.
Anybody have anything to add?
There's one thing that I don't quite comprehend. That for the third general manager, and now, Elvis, I'm gonna put it on you. There are 2 pieces of concrete, one on Stafford and one on Euclid, that have never been fixed for at least 6 to 7 years. So where's the list and how do you get on it?
Give me the address and I'll.
And another thing about what is kind of a little odd about them, it's the real small meter covers. They're like this big, and the only way to work on it, you have to crack the concrete to get it down there to work. Is there some way that we could put a different pit in and not have it in the concrete?
Is it in the sidewalk or?
Right smack in the middle of the sidewalk on both of them.
I'm just, well, I'd have to take a look at it, see if we have a way to move them out of it or some way. I mean, I'm not sure where you're talking about it over there.
So there's some room in the grass on both properties.
Is it their meter or something? The property owner's meter, or
No, it's ours.
it's our? But I mean, is it somebody's service line, or?
Yeah, it's
Or we just have a
home
valve.
service line.
So one of them's on Euclid and one's on Stafford?
Yeah, 225 on Stafford. And Rick and Lisa on Euclid. It's just around the corner from the house.
Check on. I should back this direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have we paid for the spare parts that hasn't come in?
No,
Have they sent any?
no.
They're waiting to get all of them before they send them.
They'll send us some on the 9th. Would be shipped.
Pardon?
They said that it's talking about our spare parts plant.
Uh-huh.
They're supposed to ship on the 9th.
Okay. Get the 70%, or they got more than that now?
They didn't say.
Okay.
Did you ever get the oxide tester you mentioned about?
We ordered it. Never received it yet.
That's from somebody else, so hopefully we'll get
Yeah,
that.
somebody else.
I mean, I guess with that not here, they've not done the training as it stated, have they?
Any other questions on the department?
I'm good.
Just one second. Do you need anything from us on the generators you're asking about?
Not at this point.
Okay.
We'll research, see what exactly we might need.
Then the additional electrical hookups you need to prepare to have them hooked into.
Right.
Is Honey Branch about to get in shape?
He's Ponderosa.
Yeah, Mike wasn't able to be here this
He
evening.
knows what Mike's doing now. What about it, Bob? What's going on with Honey Branch? With all the repairs and pumps and
We've had the one aerator, I say like propeller, broke. Had to pull it out and repair it. That's the only one of those that's broken for a little while now. We had the run of them back in the winter and spring.
but we're gonna have to pay a penalty because of freezing and thawing. That doesn't make a bit of sense to me.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
I would think that with some legal
We're gonna work on
department
that.
we got and some talking to the right people that you can probably get around the penalty phase.
Yeah, we're gonna work on it.
I didn't see that in the report's reason I'm asking. So how are we working on it?
Right now it's in David's hands to do his research.
Yeah, I've done some research in the past on what is an upset, which is an affirmative defense, and I'd sent that. That's been in 2011, 2012, in that range. But they're wanting to know the actual sites that I pulled that from, so I've got to get that and get that to them. Other than that, that's going to be our argument to them, that we've reported all this stuff before.
So we're on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. All right. Anything else on departments?
I'm good.
You got it? Old business.
I don't have anything we need to bring up unless you all have anything.
Was anything else finished on the 3rd Street church?
Not yet.
Still waiting issues on that.
Do you meet with the people? Are they decided to file or
I don't know.
don't know yet?
What about on the additional funds that may have been available for, was it phase 3? That listing, we were going to pick from those, which ones do you maybe try to do?
We're
Or
still waiting to see where they want to go with that.
from the judge's office?
Mhm.
Or because I know, a few months ago we had those people that live out there on
Right, the Honey
1559
Lane.
wanting to do something.
Right, and then someone made a trip out to Honey Lane to check it out, but at this point we don't know where we are.
Until we know more from the
Right.
county's end. Okay.
Is that all we have for old business?
I'm good.
Item number 8, new business. First item is our drug testing potential program.
Yes, we have a representative with the drug testing company here with us. If you feel like.
Hi, I'm Julia Barker with the Drug Testing Centers of America here. And I guess I'm not sure what the changes were anyway, but we were made aware that the person who previously had been running your all's randoms for your drug testing program was no longer in place. So we made the offer to try to get y'all in compliance. And so we presented a proposal I'd emailed to Bob, I guess a week or so ago, something like that. And I understand there have been some questions about it, or a few points anyway that we might need to change or alter. So I'm just here to answer any questions you may have or offer any information that I can.
Well, in one meeting that we had, Julia, there was a mention that there's some kind of new drug out on the market that the kids and people are using that's not actually, I don't think we were testing for, and I don't know what the name of it was. But what kind of range are you looking at for this company?
Well, there are actually many drugs out there that aren't tested for in a standard workplace program. And, something that somebody's manufacturing in their backyard or overseas right now, the labs just cannot keep up with. So there's going to be some of those that come along. Probably the ones you're talking about, the ones that are really hitting Huntington, Charleston right now, are Flocka or gravel, some of those kind of things, these synthetic drugs. And with those, there's testing in place for those with the laboratories that we have. We use SAMHSA certified laboratories, which are approved for DOT testing, your Department of Transportation testing. And, they keep up as well as they can, but, they can't change their regulations and get things in place as quickly as someone can manufacture something sometimes. So what we were offering for you all for on a non-DOT basis, which right now and in the past y'all haven't been doing any of the non-regulated testing, because that tests for at least 10 panels of drugs, 10 panels or classifications. But your other people, what are considered to be pipeline, PHMSA or your FMCSA, those are required by DOT to be in random drug testing programs. The fine's gonna be considerable if they catch you up in it, or they may slap you on the wrist and give you an opportunity. Now, what you all had in the past, someone else was actually running your all's randoms and we just did the testing. What we're proposing now is that we run the randoms and keep up with your statistics and things like that as well. With most of the utilities, because there's always the potential of even a clerk or someone in your office that could be held up to some sort of emergency situation, then just like Prestonsburg does the same thing. They're utilities people. If they don't fall in there as a CDL, as a truck driver, or have their CDL, then they go into that other drug testing pool that falls under the Department of Transportation. So that's something just have to see if you guys want to get back in place, or how you want to go forward with it.
Do y'all handle Prestonsburg now?
We do.
What panels do they use? Do they use a 10, 12, 14?
For the DOT, you have to use the standard panel. It's not nearly adequate, to be honest. I've thought that for years, because we're testing, the grade school kids over here for more than what we're testing your drivers and people working with utilities and things for. It's a standard, what they call a standard 5-panel DOT test. And so that's the best you can do on that, unless you you have your own company policy in place that says under other circumstances you can do additional testing. That opens it up, because right now the DOT panel does not cover such things like oxycodone or Xanax. And it's really sad, to be honest. So that's why a lot of companies, put something else in place and have a clause in their policy that says, if warranted, we can request you to submit to additional testing. Right now, like Prestonsburg, all they're doing is strictly the DOT though. They have their pipeline or PHMSA pool group, and then their drivers.
DOT, if we said that, we could do more.
But did you submit a company charge per client?
They did. They submitted a proposed contract, and I reviewed it last week. And I had some issues that I know that the contract contains some things that you all typically don't go for, such as arbitration and things like that. And I made those comments and the questions that I had to Bob, and I actually didn't know we were going to be talking about it. I would have followed up more to see where we were with the proposed changes, but I didn't think that it was in a position to present to you all at this point, just because there were things that I needed some clarification on, insofar as exactly what they would do and certain clauses that may need to be, if not amended, taken out. So that's where I was at with it.
We've had some discussion on those, and they're agreeable to
Okay.
changes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have no problem. Like I said, we're not dealing with billions of dollars, either one of us on either end. It's so we're not worried about leaving the clause about arbitration in there, so we can do some amendments to that.
Okay.
And I think he wanted me to discuss with you. I guess it was with you or someone else, as far as your all standard clauses that you would have as far as termination of a contract. So
Yeah, and there was matters of confidentiality that I wanted spelled out a little more in the contract, and the scope of services I wanted to explain a little better what program management meant and things like that. So I can certainly follow up with you later on this week, and maybe we'll get a revised draft that I can circulate to you all once I find it's okay to present.
That works.
Yeah.
At least we're doing something.
Well, I think we would be interested in more than just the panels that the DOT has.
Oh yeah, I mean, back when we did the changes to the drug testing policy, at the time I was working with Anna, and I knew the problems with prescription drugs. That's why we added things about prescription drugs in there. As far as what you all, I'd have to go back. I haven't looked at it in a while, but we'd have to go back and see what we actually call for and what we can do. But certainly, leveling is an issue that would have to be addressed. far as, you know, the prescriptions to make sure that they stay level.
Well, and that's one of those things that, you really need to have that clause in your policy that directs the person, lets them know that, you know, we may be, you know, requiring you to go to your physician and say that you're okay to operate, you're safe to perform these safety sensitive functions under these conditions as well while you're taking these medications. That's frequently where the problem lies.
I'm fairly certain we have that in there.
Where's your office, Julie?
It is on 705 Broadway, just one block down from, the old bowling alley, across from Citizens National Bank.
So it didn't burn down?
Nope.
Do we currently have anybody that's or sit through this supervisor's reasonable suspicion training?
I think maybe some of all been through that, haven't you, in the past? It's been some time.
To the what?
Reasonable suspicion training. Maybe not,
I don't
but,
think so.
but it's something we need to do.
Who's your competitor?
In Paintsville, there's really not much here. We have, you know, some competition in Prestonsburg, but
Who's that?
Van Ark, and then I think there's another company that operates out of a trailer on the
I'm sorry we can't give you an answer tonight. After David reviews it, we'll take a look at see what the commission thinks and try to give you some leeway there to do
Well,
something.
and Bob has my information. You can contact me and we can work back and forth with that.
That's fine. That'll work.
Okay.
So
Thank
we
you for
did-
coming.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number B is final audit report, not preliminary. All right, we'll go for preliminary.
Alright. We're just missing one. You want me to sit down over here?
Sure.
Hey, Jim,
Yes.
you got that print I gave you?
I got it.
That print I gave you?
What's
All right.
the difference between a preliminary and a final?
Final's gonna have a thing we're gonna discuss here about the charge-offs. I don't have that information yet. So this is preliminary.
Can you give us just a couple of minutes to come through it?
Sure. Sure. Take your time. I'll start. Just kidding.
Yeah, I think I needed more than a few minutes to go through all
I'd say.
that.
Well, I'm going to give you this. This is a little comparison. I'll get to this here in a moment of the past 2015 versus the last 3 years. That's primarily what I'll discuss going forward. But anyway, the audit itself, I've given the utilities an unmodified report, which is a clean report. With the financial statements here, after I get the information on the charge-offs for the bad debts for the year, will present fairly the financial position of the Paintsville Utilities at June 30, 2015. Basically, as far as financial numbers, and on this sheet, this kind of summarizes what's going on. You'll see that for the year, and I discussed this last year, your operating revenues this past year were $8.5 million. And then after your cost of sales, which is gas purchases, $956,000, you had net operating revenues of $7.56 million. And if you look down, your operating expenses for the year were a little over about $7 million. Your operating income was $558,000. And then after your small little gain on the sale of a vehicle, some interest income on your investments, interest expense of $632,000, and you'll see I have it highlighted right there. Your net income or loss before any contributions for aid of construction, your utilities that you contribute to the city. you're showing a loss of $14,599 this year. And if you go over to 2014, 13, and 12, you can see all of a sudden why did it drop. You had a $908,000 net income in 14, $994,000 in 13, $890,000 in 2012. Well, the reason for that, there's two reasons for that. Number one, depreciation expenses about $450,000. That's because the new water plant has been put online, and you took depreciation on that in 2015 when there wasn't any in the prior 3 years. So depreciation expense is up, which is a non-cash expense item for the time being. And also your interest expense, you can see it was $142,014. All of a sudden it jumped to $632,000 in 2015. The reason for that is because the new water plant has been completed, so none of the interest anymore that was on the loans that was going towards the construction of the water plant was being capitalized anymore. So all that interest expense is the entire amount of interest that the utilities paid on their debts for 2015. Now, what I want to show you on the bottom, the second item I have highlighted is your cash flow from operations, and that was from there's a cash flow statement in the audit report, and you'll see that for 2015 your cash flow from operations was $2.22 million, and you'll see that is very consistent. There's a little spike up in 2013, 2.8 million, but you had 2.2 million in 14, then 2.46 million in 12, and then I just wrote down and read there. I went and pulled the 2011 audit report. You had cash flow from operations of 2.33 million in 11. So your cash flow from operations has been very consistent for the last 5 years, and that's good. Even though it looks like your operations is declined quite a bit, but again, like I explained to you, due to the interest expense and depreciation. So, and what I wanted you to look on page 14 of the audit, and I highlighted some numbers here. This is your long-term debt. And the reason I highlight, and the reason I bring up the cash flow from operations is because that is what you need to service your loan payments and the interest and the principal payments on your loan. And you can see that you're in the like I said, you've been between 2.2 and 2.5 mainly for the last 5 years in your cash flow from operations. So you've had plenty of cash to service your loan obligations. Going forward from 2016 through 2019, you can see about $1.25 to $1.35 million in cash is needed to service your obligations. So you want to keep, I think the utilities is in good shape financially, especially with your cash flow staying in that 2.2, because that gives you enough cash to service your loans, plus put additional cash back towards any operations. Your reserves and so forth are all sufficiently met. Your debt service reserves, depreciation reserves, and so forth. So those are in good shape. But this does allow you, give you a little cushion to operate on, to save a little bit of money for any future expenses that the utilities may have. Now, one thing below here, you'll see the advances for construction. There's a $6.5 million loan that was still hanging out there that you're only paying interest on right now. That will, I think the last drawdown you received is about $30,000 came in this fiscal year. So that the rest of that money has been drawn down. So I would expect to see, you probably will get a scheduled payment, an amortization schedule, and start having to pay. You had only been paying interest on that, but in the future, I'd say starting maybe this year, you probably have to start paying principal and interest on that. And I would say, considering it's $6.5 million, I would say the principal and interest is going to be easily in the 6 digits in the future. So you will actually see that 1.3 probably jump up to 1.6, 1.7 somewhere. So you're going to have more cash to service your obligations. But anyway, I think, considering the last 5 years, I think your cash flow from operations has been healthy. If it does start going forward in the future, if you see your expenses starting to increase, because one thing, you've not had a rate increase in going on 4 years now. I pulled back the prior audits, the June 30, 2011 audit, and then June 30, 2012, and your rates have remained the same since the June 30, 2012 audit. So there's been no rate increases. course, you know, your gas fluctuates due to the cost of your gas and so forth.
With this, if the cash flow is the 2.2,
Right.
and then we jump up to 1.6 when we start paying off the 6.5 million.
Right.
Will we still reflect enough for
Yes.
insurance policies and
This
healthcare?
This cash flow from operations, exactly. This is from your operating expenses. That's your revenues you're bringing in minus your operating expenses and so forth. So that's
included.
Salaries, health insurance, everything. So all your operating expenses. And that's what, after your operations, that's cash after your operations that can go towards your debt payments. So then I didn't highlight that fifth year right there for 2020. It was 4.6 million, but you got a balloon payment on that Citizens Bank.
There'll be refinancing
Yeah,
involved.
and I'm sure you're gonna refinance it.
3.7 million at that point.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, I mean, the utilities is still in good financial condition. I think your cash flow is good. There's no issues there, so everything looks good. And
I was gonna say, with this being like LB had mentioned, the more and more this goes up, is there like a ballpark period when you start looking at to be worried about, or
well, you know,
cash flow gets down? I mean, of course,
I mean,
all these are
I
going to
think-
increase through the years.
I-
But is there going to be a time when we say, "Hey, it's time we have to do something," or we're
Well,
going to start going backwards?
like I said, you haven't had a rate increase in going on 4 years, and you know your salary and your health insurance and
Those are
your
going
operating
up.
expenses are going to start there. You know they're going to increase to some degree, but I would, I guess it depends on where you feel comfortable. But I'd keep if this starts going under $2 million, maybe 1.8, 1.9, and then you notice your debt obligations is 1.6, 1.7 or something like that, and then I'd start maybe thinking about rates at that point. But that'd be something you all need to discuss, so forth. But as long as your reserves are met, which they are right now, for your bond obligations, so forth, it just depends on what y'all feel comfortable with. So, the only thing that came up on the audit and I talked to Bob about this, was there's a lack of pledge of securities on one bank account. It was a First Commonwealth. You got $250,000 of FDIC coverage on your deposits for each bank. The First Commonwealth one is where you take your credit card payments. It had grown up to over 250. It's about 300,000, 300 some thousand. So I just made a recommendation to Bob that make sure that you draw down that money and put it into your Citizens account or whatever, where you do have enough pledge. Just keep that one under 250,000. So that way you don't have to worry about getting a pledge of securities from First Commonwealth or whatever. So, but that's all I have. Other than I guess you wanted to discuss I didn't know if that was time to discuss that or
Kind of related.
kind of related.
Next item on the agenda is the bad debt write-off. Unfortunately, Jim's in the office this afternoon. I gave him my list. The total we're looking at to write off is a little over $31,000. I think it's 322 accounts, so it's less than $100 per account. 94% of those accounts were from 2013 and prior. So the ones that are very hard to collect at this point. It was 31,000.
Yeah, some change.
Something.
Yeah.
And so you need a motion.
That's not the delinquents that we
That's
saw?
that's part of the delinquents.
I thought you got listed here as 228.
That's the total
And
we're-
out of that
we're-
total, you're going to write off 30.
at this point. Now we're working with this collection agency, trying to collect as many of those as we can.
And the collection agency has not been able to come up with anything.
We've not got anything together with them yet. There's a contract we need to execute,
Most likely January.
if not sooner.
But you're wanting to write the bad debt off before we.
On these, there's typically smaller amounts that they're not going to be wanting to go after too hard,
Right.
or they're extremely old. Some of these are from 2009 and further back that, for whatever reason, haven't been on the list before.
So what's the exact number that you have right now?
I left that at the office.
You can't get it on the computer. It's 31,000 something, Walter, and
So then you need it for us to say, yes, you could do that? Okay, I make a motion that we write off bad debts in the area of approximately $32,000.
That'll cover it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And I will take that number and finish the financials and get a final number. And going back to what we was talking about earlier, he was talking about what number, like on the cash flow from operations. If your cash flow from operations starts going below what you need required for your debt service requirements, then definitely you got.
Well, definitely, but I mean,
yeah, 'cause
we would want to do
you-
something before that point, because by then it's too late to really play catch up.
Exactly. I have this I do 2 other utilities, and both of them, I try to tell them, I said, do not get to the point where you're not adjusting, raising your rates. Don't get into a hole and start digging out of it. Take care of it before you get to that point. So.
Right, because
Yeah.
we've got future projects or any emergency come up, we need to make sure money's still coming in to hold it where it needs to be.
Yeah, we'll be
Right,
incurring
so-
more debt for some of these projects, so we'll have to.
Yeah.
And then we have to make an appointment with the city council.
Yeah. I'd like to have these back if I could. I guess if you want to take them with you and review them,
Yeah,
and
I'll be
if
glad to give it back,
and then give it back, maybe give it back to Bob later on.
because I want to see what's all this in there.
Okay. So,
Get my back.
okay. You got a copy. Other than that, I thank you for allowing Wells and Company to do the audit this year, and I know it's a little late, but we've got about finished, and another year's about wrapped up. So
And we've had a
appreciate
year
it.
to fix it. That's probably a lot of the problems here.
What's that now?
We're just fixing it.
In
If something
general.
goes wrong, we just
Oh,
fix it.
oh yeah, yeah.
Appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See, item D, we've already discussed the water treatment membrane replacements, haven't we?
No, it was what's newly come up about them.
And then you got it ordered, or
Oh, yeah.
are you talking about what's in the report?
Yeah, well, they're wanting to get at least 6 and have them on standby.
Go ahead and tell us about it. In your own words.
Well, we were working on those, cleaning them, and one of them dropped, and it broke the face of it, so it can't be used anymore. So we need one, and we said I've got a price. I think it's like $773 for one, but it's gonna be like another $1,500–1,600 just to ship one. You can ship 6 for the same price you can ship one. And at some point, we're going to have to replace these. And need to get on GE, I think, and
Where are
see
they
what
coming
we
in?
do.
Where are they shipping from?
I don't know if it's Canada or where they're actually coming from.
Does that include the membrane itself, or is it just the housing?
No, it's the total membrane, all membrane.
Okay. I say let's do it.
By having extras on hand, will that help
We probably
Speed
put
up.
those in service when we get them.
as soon as you get them? I didn't know if it'd be something you would keep a few on hand that you would replace and then take the old one out and take your time to repair it.
We
We're not
keep
have to
the
be in
old
a
one,
hurry
repair
to-
it, and then if we was to have to use it. I talked to them today. They call every other Friday, and I talked to them about an hour today. And I just told them that by the time we fix one train and go to another one, we have to come back to that same one for all the breaks and leaks we've got. And I asked them if they want, give us one cassette of modules, so we can try the new ones versus the old ones to see if we have the brakes that we have now. But I'm not doing good with them.
Did we at one time ask you to look into something more about
We did,
this? Or
and there's certain requirements that you have to meet to file a true claim, and I sent those to Bob, and
We're working on that.
I didn't get anything back from it yet. So you got photographs and the timeline and all this jazz. So I'm just on a holding pattern for that.
So is this something you can get with Larry to try to create the timeline needed and whatever to go with, or?
You got that information, I believe, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess as long as we keep our 2-week calls with them, we're showing we're diligent in our duties to do what they're requiring us to do.
Well, that's kind of part of that insight program will be, I guess they just
Yeah.
Put a new contract with them or something.
Can we have that done by next meeting, or before the next meeting?
We can try.
So do you need our approval to get we'll go ahead and order up to the 6, or do you think you need more than 6 though right now, or?
We will. But I just didn't know what we could actually get them to help replace before we actually start replacing ourselves. Cause like I said, there was a 10-year warranty,
10-year prorated.
prorated. We've had them like 3 years maybe.
I mean, do you think by getting the 6 new ones, go ahead and putting them in service, that's gonna free you up to repair those and not have to worry about the system for a little while to just
No,
keep working?
that's just 6 modules. You got
Yeah, I know you said there's a lot.
162 modules or whatever. And you're only gonna buy 6.
One thing it does do is give you an opportunity to see how those perform
Yeah,
compared to these others.
yeah, we can do that.
So we can use that as our own testing to throw back to them for any
We've got the
problems.
2 new modules that they sent us after we sent them the old ones to the test. We've never had a break on those. So, yeah, if we get 6, we can.
Do you think you'll have to put those 6 in just the one chamber, or that way you say we got them in a row with water
Yeah, that's
running
what
through
we'll do,
and see
probably.
how it's gonna
That's
work?
what we do, yeah.
Then maybe take some of those that's in that line that's not as bad, stick them somewhere else and get the most use out of them as you can.
At some point though, we're gonna have to do a train from what I'm hearing from you.
Do I know?
At some point, we're gonna have to exchange them a full train at a time.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to purchase the 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next item E is the gas line repair on Star Park Hill.
You have 2 quotes in your package there. The one from Western is slightly higher than the other. It does have a lot more detail as to the scope of the work.
On the one here, it's a lot more detailed than the others, so you get a better idea of how they're going to do the repairs. Any idea why they would have excluded the leak test?
The X-ray.
I mean, is that something that needs to be done, you think, Delmas, is to check the work, or?
Plus, I think they mostly do that on a pretty big job or something like that.
It's
I
such a
think
small
just-
job.
Yeah, just for this,
We'll be pressure checked.
yeah, we'll pressure.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Western Construction Incorporated, $4,850 for the work described within their proposal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item F, surplus vehicles.
You have a list of 6 vehicles that I'm proposing to surplus at this time.
Now, were these the same 6 vehicles that we are trying to replace, or are in process of replacing, or are they different? They are the same
These are the same
6.
ones.
Okay.
I make a motion, we surplus these items.
When you
So-
surplus, what does that mean? Did you give the city the opportunity to come look at it?
If that's the desire of the commission.
We'll call Joe Keaton.
Is that what we normally do?
We have lately, yes.
Well, we did that rental thing with Enterprise. We talked about them selling them all for us at one time.
But
And they will. I understand.
But if the city could take a look and they could use them, you probably get more out of it for the city than you would selling it by Enterprise, I think.
Yeah, these trucks aren't gonna bring much in any kind of an auction, so if the city can use them, that'd be great, any of them.
Okay.
I would think that you would probably, have you talked to anybody in the city about them?
Oh, yeah.
What did they say?
There's one they may be interested in.
Only a maybe.
Yeah, need to evaluate a little bit more.
I would think you'd give them the first opportunity, and then whatever is left, surplus it out.
We'll let Enterprise take them to auction for us.
So, I guess to reiterate the motion, then give the city the first option of looking over the vehicles, and the ones that they do not require or want, then turn to Enterprise to auction the rest of them off for us.
Second. Or is you supposed to do it?
No, I was reiterating it for making the city the first shot at it. So you second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Item G is the Van Leer Sewer Project.
As we've previously discussed, funding has been approved to extend the sewer line up into the head of Van Leer, up to the old landfill. It's been requested that we do a resolution indicating our willingness to take that into our system once it's completed.
After 1 year and no problems.
It'll be covered under warranty.
And we've never taken anything until after the first year.
The contractor,
Okay.
construction warranty on for that first year. That's what
And how many people will be connected? One. Okay. The
Niche.
landfill, the head of, instead of turning left at Butcher, you go over the hill. Yeah.
but it's getting the infrastructure.
Yeah, and there'll be quite a few people that
Later
will be in
on, we
position
can
that
add.
can tap right in.
That's the thing I don't worry about. We gotta add people on this for what happens. A lot of sewer construction.
How far, where does this project start at exactly?
302,
So it'll start right
And
at
that'll
302
tap into our line on 302.
and go all the way up, was that Miller's Branch?
Miller's.
Millers Creek?
Where Butcher Hall is.
And then I know where Butcher RV's off to the
Right,
left.
goes on straight to the old dump. So,
Right. But basically you're gonna do a new line from 302 all the way up past Butcher's Hall.
1107, 302 intersection.
Okay, now you got the other way on me.
It's
The Davis Branch,
Yeah, I know where that intersection is.
right there where that little
So you're gonna go from the
There's a
junction to
store.
1107
bookstore,
and take
work
it
and
to, right.
all the
But
way
then you're
up
gonna go
to
from
302.
there all the way to the beginning of Miller's Creek and then go up Miller's Creek with it
Correct.
and go all the way up to wherever the waste area is.
Yes.
Who wants the resolution?
And there's only one person to be added with
So
that?
The
that's
landfill.
where the landfill was.
If we don't
Right.
take it over, who's got it? County?
It would, and probably it would not happen.
I mean, it's in, I guess I'm
Who's
getting
laying the
confused.
line?
It's funded by the state, but it's not contracted yet.
You bid it out?
But they'll bid it out. We're meeting Wednesday to find out exactly where some of that is.
I mean, there's an existing line there, you're saying.
No,
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get to the point is, you're gonna do a new line
It's a new line.
completely, from the junction of 1107 all the way to the junction of Miller's Creek, go up Miller's Creek, and then go all the way up toward where the landfill is.
Correct.
Now, that's already been proposed, you said state funded,
the
and
state's agreed to
there's,
fund it.
is it gravity fed, force
It's
fed?
gravity fed for most of it, and then the last half mile maybe
Be force.
is force main.
The last half to get it to 1107, so
Right.
it'll be force
And
fed.
tie into the force main there.
And you've already got plans, it's from somebody drawed up how this is gonna go, or?
We're hoping to see those Wednesday.
We have preliminary plans, but they've changed their mind.
That was dropped several years back.
But you'll have the potential, I mean, currently then, there is no system running through Van Leer.
None.
So if any residents through there would want to try to tie on to it, then that potential is there for it.
Correct.
And was it designed for that?
Yes.
So what size is the line?
On the gravity should be an 8 inch.
And
I'm not sure on the force.
yeah, last conversation we had with them, they weren't sure the proper sizing yet on the force main.
Remind them that there will be other people put on over the years, make it as big as they can.
And then do we have to approve these plans? Or is this approved through somebody else? Or I mean, there's a lot of questions here.
Anything we do, I think it would be contingent on development of approved plans.
I think you could probably, if you're interested, you could make a motion, based on contingency of the approved plans and what you as you review those plans. You could say you could take it over contingent upon approval of the plans.
But that's what I was trying to figure out. Was this the plans that you said that the state is paying for it, or whoever that you're saying the state is, and that they are already drawn up roughly, and who is given the final approval to even do the project? If we're just saying we're going to take it over after a year, that's where I'm getting my confusion at.
They're working with the county on it.
So it's a county project,
And
and the
they're
county's the
serve
one
the
that's
county
approving it
landfill.
first.
Right.
So the county's approving this whole project, and then they want us to take it over after the fact. Okay. Have you been involved with it much, Rick?
Just a few of the preliminary meetings.
Does it seem to be kosher to you with what you've seen or
Yeah,
been privy to?
hopefully. It should work.
Need to see those
We'll know
final
more
plans.
Wednesday.
You could make a motion to approve it as built. The thought is,
But as Walter said earlier, you all in the past waited for at least 1 year before you took something over like that. It would still be the county's responsibility for that first year, and then after that, we would take it over if there were no issues, or is that how it's been in the past?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the way it's been.
But as he said, he's got a year's warranty on it anyway.
So any kind of issues would fall back on the contractor for that year.
Let's go for the resolution.
You stated.
Actually, you've got me confused now. But I'm for it. Let's do it.
You make a contingent on anything, on the review of the plans or something, or just take it over.
Let's not do that again.
Do I have a motion?
Whatever it is, I make it.
Rick, do you see any problem with this project at all? I mean, did we just blindly take something over, or would we want to see maybe an as-built set before after it's completed to make sure it looks like it's going to meet the standards and not?
We'll have that, but they have to go with 10 state standard when they're designed, so.
You know who the engineer is?
Tetra Tech.
Yeah, Tetra Tech.
Have we had any dealings with them in the past?
Not personally. I know of them.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the Van Leer sewer project once completed and after a full year, as long as all plans and specifications are adhered to as required by state law with the Division of Water and so forth.
Second.
Do we have to draft it, or are they draft it? We probably should draft it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Did you get that, Jenny?
Yes.
Item H, gas contracts.
Yeah, it's time to renew the gas contracts with our locals. And I recommend that we revise those contracts to recognize decatherm pricing as opposed to just straight MCF.
Who's gonna do the BTU testing and so forth?
We take the samples and we've been going to mineral labs to get them tested.
Well, that's pretty well a standard normally. I mean, I didn't know that we wasn't doing that to start with.
We've been paying on straight MCF.
Cause you probably paying more than what you should.
In some cases.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and let Bob work through our contracts for gas contracts to switch to the Decatherm.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Some of those contracts though were just based on, I'll have to go back and look, but some of them was way low that
Yeah, there's a couple of them that
you don't wanna mess with
are
those.
a little low, right? Also very small quantity.
Yeah. Okay, item I, Peck Hill Drive water line.
Yeah, it's, our personnel determined or discovered we had several houses feeding off of an adequate size line. We need to get that replaced. That's going to need to be engineered and permitted. That's one of those things we need to kind of authorize once we get our hydraulic model finished to know exactly what we're working with. Just need to be prepared to roll with it.
So are they currently working on a hydraulic model for Pack Hill, or is that for
But they're
the
working on
sewer we're
hydraulic
talking
model.
about?
They're working for the hydraulic model for the system. Now we had previous discussion about trying to do sewer line up there.
Right.
That's out there a ways. This is something we need to get done a little quicker.
Then the hydraulic model, is this the whole
It's
system?
our whole system.
And so this will be an added to that. Look at what you're talking about.
The idea of the hydraulic model is you know where you stand when you start tapping onto it in a given place, and
Right.
what's going to happen when you start tapping. You're not just going blindly into it.
So are you asking to let them authorize you to do an RFQ for an engineering firm to design
Correct.
water line extensions to Pack Hill Drive?
I make that motion.
We'll do that at the same time we do
Do they have a
the
second?
other one.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Guys have it. Number 9, do we need an executive session?
Briefly, yes.
Actually got a couple other little things here.
Is it under old business?
In a way, this one does fall under old business, the
Yeah.
contract on the 321 project.
Oh yeah.
I make a motion, we go into executive session.
No. This doesn't have to do with that. This is outside. This is on.
Oh.
Remember, we had to put off they were trying to worry with CAT on the water line
November
relocation.
17th deal, and is that what you're going at?
Yeah, they've sent me the bid packets, and with one very minor change, which Don's going to make, the contract's ready to be entered. From what Don emailed us today, that Boca has extended their bid up through the end of the month, and he was wanting. I wasn't sure what Don was wanting us to do.
It's like he wants us to go ahead and approve the contract.
Go ahead and award the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the issues with the state have been resolved, and they're okay with everything? According to
That's what he
Bob,
said.
or according to this
According
guy?
to Don Sexton is the engineer on the project, and he indicated in an email to both of us today that if we needed to go ahead and award the contract.
And then we'll issue the notice to proceed at a later date.
I'll make a motion to proceed with the award.
That amount was $725,940 to Boca Contracting. Boca Contracting, isn't it?
Okay.
Is that who I'm thinking about?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Were they the low bid?
Yes.
They were the low bid, and the engineer did their qualification checks, I reckon.
Okay. Item fails for lack of a motion. Second. Do Do we need an executive session?
We do have one other thing if we wanna,
Is it under old business?
we do business.
It's not on the agenda.
If you wanna have election of officers is what I was gonna get at.
It's a regular meeting, so you don't have to stick, if something comes up, you can actually do other business. This is just a regular meeting, so I think he's gonna do the election of the officers.
I thought we already did that.
No, we didn't.
You sure?
I would have been,
Huh?
I would have been at least vice chairman, because I wasn't at that meeting. I know how these fellas work.
I think in our bylaws, or whatever, it states that the November election, November meetings, when you, or the December meetings, what you do with your officers for the beginning of the new year. And we're just following the procedures we've got listed.
I distinctly remember that we made Tim Spencer,
Vice chair.
Oh, we
no,
discussed
we
that.
made him vice chair, but with the
Understand?
recommendation, understanding he was gonna be chairman. He's chairman, started.
Let's make it easy. I nominate Tim Spencer for the chair, 2016.
Does he second?
And I second myself.
I don't see why you can. Yeah, you can do that.
Well, according to our legal counsel, I'll second myself.
Reluctantly, yeah.
I still think we already did it. We'll do it again. Okay, all in favor of Tim being the new chairman?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Now do we need a vice
The
chairman?
vice chair.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be the vice chairman? or
You just
you
said
wanna
something
make-
about being vice
I
chairman.
just tried to liven the meeting up a
Well,
little bit.
how,
I'll
I mean, I don't know
accept it.
how the chairmans have been the past 4 or 5 years.
You- I replaced you.
You're not here.
Is it his turn or is it
You
Mitch's
weren't
turn?
you the last one?
I think it's Mitch's turn.
I'll nominate Mitch Skinner
Okay.
as
15.
vice chair.
You just had back surgery. I mean hip surgery.
13 was mine.
Well, I didn't stab him in the back.
Just an it.
Yeah,
Mine.
Smith.
he's
Because
feeling it
just
right
meetings.
now.
Smith was, and then, so I replaced Smith, didn't I?
Yeah.
So it's either you or Mitch. Smith, I replaced Smith.
Okay, I thought you just said you replaced Walter.
No, he was 13. Smith was 14, I was 15.
Mitch was 12.
Yeah.
So it's probably,
It's time for Mitch.
yeah, and he's not here, so.
He actually just made
I
the
just
motion.
made the motion for Mitch for vice
Do I have
chair.
a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mitch vice chair. With the understanding.
You go next.
Okay.
It's okay, he can
Anything
do the
else?
December meeting.
We'd have to have a very short executive session, discuss anticipated litigation.
Make a motion for executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
They have a motion to go back to regular session.
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have anything to report from the executive session?
Nothing to report from executive session.
They have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
How'd that go?
What's
That
that
goes
first
with
sheet?
the